Ladies and gentlemen,
They say the next big thing is here.
the Steve Warneke Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Steve Warneke. Thanks for being with me. So busy. Lots going on. Happy 4th of July. God bless America, huh? Oh, man. The 4th of July when I was a kid was crazy. I mean, we would get together and we would do the fireworks. And, of course, every family has the pyromaniac in the family, I think, right? So my uncle would get drunk and would light fireworks, and you would take the little firecracker and light it through. And this is how long ago it was. My father would give me a cigarette to hold. He'd like light a cigarette, and that's what you, because he didn't want to give me a lighter. So you walked around with a cigarette and you lit all the fireworks off. Yeah. And then my uncle would get super wasted, and he would like tape packages of Black Cats together, and then he couldn't light it, so he just light a newspaper on fire and like hold it below there until they would all go off. So I mean, the good old days. I don't do much for you. You look, Kelly's looking surprised here. But happy 4th. I hope you're gonna have a safe, happy, healthy 4th of July. I want to thank the police officers for working and for being out there on the 4th of July, keeping us all safe. The 4th of July, trust me, is not an easy holiday to work. So I don't know about other police officers' experiences, but I can tell you that a lot of the ones that I know and me personally stopped enjoying a lot of holidays after being a cop for so many years. And now that I'm retired, it's been like for 3 years, it's been sort of a struggle to get back into it and enjoy the holidays, specifically the 4th of July, New Year's, and Halloween. I mean, without a doubt, the 3 worst holidays to be a policeman on, I think. After so many years on the job, anytime I had a chance, I would just like, let's stay home, forget it, don't go out during these 3 holidays. Just so nice, then I have to deal with any of the craziness. And I know police officers, around the country see crazy things on the 4th of July. And I remember for sure the craziest 4th of July story working that I recall was we responded to it was a double shooting was the call. And when we get there, you come to find out it's like in a residential neighborhood, and it started over a fireworks dispute. So this was a neighbor dispute over fireworks, and I can't remember if they were both lighting fireworks or somebody was lighting fireworks and the other guy was mad about it. What I do know is they were both outside, and the neighbors got into it. This is your neighbor across the street. And they get into an argument, and it gets more and more heated, and they both go back in their houses at some point during the argument to go get their guns. And they hide their guns in their waistband, come back out, and resume this argument. And now, of course, they're more emboldened because they are now armed. So you've got that sense of courage, like, oh yeah, mess with me now, sucker, you know what I mean? Right? And it escalates and escalates, and both men pull out their guns, and shoot each other. And one guy dies, and the other one got shot in the testicles. And when we got there, he's just sitting on the curb, just like you would be if you got shot in the balls. Just, like, what are we going to do now? I mean, I think part of you would think, like, I wish you'd have just killed me now because you just shot my balls. And they were big. They were swollen. I mean, they looked like a grapefruit. It was really... That's hard to look at if you're a man, And I always just remembered, like, this was supposed to be a 4th of July celebration, lighting off fireworks in the neighborhood with the kids or whatever. One of them had a family. I think the other guy, one had a wife, and the other one had a wife and kids. The one who died had the kids. So they're at the house, seeing dad get into it with a neighbor, and then it turns into a double shooting. Like, what? I mean, so, and that's not like, you could say, all right, well, maybe, Steve, you had bad luck on that one, and why would you let one 4th of July ruin you forever? It's just one bad incident. But every year, and this isn't just the 4th of July, but the 4th of July is even worse. The drunkenness of and everybody that's drunk's the same thing. They're swearing and they're cursing and they're peeing in your car and they're vomiting, and they think some people you put in your police car and your police car smells for weeks. I mean weeks. Some of the homeless people, sometimes they have open sores. I even seen one with like maggots growing out of it. I mean, it's really like there is a lot of stuff, and it's just the drunkenness and the debauchery and the stupidness, and they're asking about over and over what have they done, and they're arguing and they're calling you names just like all the time, and you get to a point where a lot of cops just go, I just want to stay in. I don't even want to go out anymore. I don't know if that's happened to you. That was my experience. And so it's not just 1 year of the violence, the drunkenness, etc. It's year after year after year. And again, maybe not every police officer has issues with this, but I think a lot of us do or end up developing it. And maybe it's not an issue. Maybe you just want to stay at home. I don't want to go out. But for me, after leaving the job, I thought, wow, I want to figure out a way to reincorporate myself back into society. I want to find a way to go back out and enjoy the 4th of July. I want to find a way to go back out and enjoy New Year's or Halloween even, right? Rather than just trying to hermit myself in the house and introvert myself, just turning off all the lights. I mean, literally on Halloween, I just turn off all the lights and like, don't knock, don't go. I don't want to go out. And I want to try to fix that. If you're happy with it, fine, then let it be. But if you're not, or this is happening to you also, maybe there's a way to start to help you get back to whatever quality of life it is you're trying to attain. And that's why I identified law enforcement distress syndrome and why I started doing this research, because I think it's important. And I have to thank the police. I mean, police are not known for their emotional openness. You know what I mean? Like cops are tough skin, right? Thick skin. The honesty at which the police have been contacting me about their experiences and sharing what's going on, and the openness with which all of the law enforcement that are participating in my research study about law enforcement distress syndrome, and the notes and all the messages that I'm receiving, the response has sincerely been overwhelming. I know I've hit the nail on the head here because guys and gals that did the job or do the job or family are going, oh yeah, you're describing, this is me, this is my loved one, this is so much of what's happened to us. Or this is, yeah, that is how we are also. When I describe these symptoms, you can start to see them. And so there was a couple reasons why I wanted to do this research, and foremost was to help improve the quality of life of police officers, because I felt like the job has the sacrifice that you know of, where the men and women are going out putting their lives on the line every day to sacrifice themselves for strangers and going to these calls. But then there's this like hidden mental toll that a lot of police officers experience. And I thought doing this research was going to be tough because cops are going to be like, I'm fine, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they're not tough, but I think cops have been reading this going, yeah, I have noticed some changes in me, and are willing to share and be open about it. It's really been impressive. So sincerely, thank you so much for everybody who has sent me their feedback about law enforcement distress syndrome, their comments, filled out the survey. Thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you for your courage to talk. I mean, we all know cops are courageous, but this can be difficult when you're talking about your stuff. So what is law enforcement distress syndrome? Well, I observed that after time of being under constant threat, of bearing witness to all of the violence, victimization, and chaos that police have to respond to every day, that it starts to, and this even goes into the training, by the way, at the police academy, where you're taught about to perceive threats. You're taught to be vigilant. You're taught to distrust others, which all police have to do those things in order to be successful. But when those items turn into, when they go beyond vigilance to hypervigilance, and we had a post this week where we asked about, do you have to sit with your back at a restaurant? Have you ever been on vacation and you're watching the tour guide because you're sure he's going to rip you off, and so you're paying zero attention to the sights? I mean, do you know how many times I've done that? And how many cops I know that you're on vacation with them or something, and they're just like, this guy's I'm watching him, and they're upset. And so I ask about that in the survey about, do you feel like you could be a victim? Do you know, this was crazy, but I mean, we're talking over 50% of police officers feel that their home, where you're supposed to feel the safest, right, is a target for crime because of the fact that they're a police officer. So for me, it's interesting it's only 50%. I would have thought that would have been higher, but this is what research is about. But for the 50% that don't feel that way, great. That's amazing. I don't know. And I'm going to do some in-depth research once I get a certain number of surveys. I don't want to go through this analysis right now, every few hundred surveys, and then have to do it again. So right now what we're doing is we're promoting the survey and the research so we can get the responses so that I can make findings on the research that I'm doing, because I don't want to do it 4 or 5 times. But I can tell you, as this information is coming in, and you could say, okay, well, 50% of police officers feel that their house could be a target of crime because they're a cop. I mean, I certainly felt like that. Like, I didn't want people to know where I lived. I didn't want my neighbors to know I was a police officer, because I know a lot of people don't like the cops, and I'm worried that they would take advantage, because it's obvious a lot of times when people are on vacation or they're not home. And I was worried that people would, I would be the home that gets the windows broken or spray painted or whatever, because it would be, let's get the cop's house. And even if 50% of police don't feel like that, that's okay. But there's 50% of people that do feel like this. And when you can't relax in your own home and you have no place where you feel safe, because even at home you feel like you potentially could be victimized because of what you're doing for a job, then that has a toll. And that's just one of the many things that I talk about with law enforcement distress syndrome. So vigilance is necessary, but hypervigilance means you can't relax. You're always on guard. There are very few places where you feel relaxed. And if your home is not one of them, then where are you relaxing? Are you finding that time where you can decompress, where you can really relax and feel safe? Because we can't always all be on guard. That takes a toll on you. So if you're a police officer and this isn't happening to you, great. That's fantastic. And even if it's 10, 20, 30% of cops that this is happening to, and this toll starts to affect their quality of life, those are the ones I want to help. I don't know how big this problem is. That's why we're doing the research. I know it exists because I've seen it, but I don't know how big the problem is. And that's what I'm trying to ascertain. And I can only do that with your help at stevewarneke.com. You can find the survey. You can find out what law enforcement distress syndrome is. You can read more about it and the symptoms. And I encourage the police to do this, families to do this. If you know a cop, it's just interesting to do this. And one of my hypotheses is that if you're in a bigger city, the more trauma you witness, the faster this sets in. Also, if you've been on longer, the potential to exhibit some of these symptoms is greater. It's not something that you start in day one. You're in all this, but what I have seen in different people is some of these symptoms progress to debilitating levels. And that's who I'm aiming to help here. So I've asked a lot of questions. The survey's like 15 minutes. That's a considerable amount of time, I think, to ask people to take 15 minutes out of their day. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's not a 4 or 5 minute survey. It's like 150 questions, but we're getting like almost a 90% completion rate from the police. And the comments, and by the way, if there's a spot for you to say, because I'm a good cop, right? I was always taught, what's the question when you're interviewing somebody as a cop? Every detective and policeman is always asking at the end, is there anything that I haven't asked that you want to share with me, right? Because that's what a good cop always asks. So at the end, there is a place for you to type, and you can type if you want to tell me something. But also, send me a message through my website, through Facebook. There's a contact tab on my website at stevewarneke.com. And, if you want to type me a paragraph, share. I mean, what the research I'm doing doesn't always have to be in this survey format. I'm getting stories, people's experiences that they're sharing with me through writing. And that's fine too. I can use that. I'm not going to compromise your identity. This is about helping police officers and learning about how we can make the job better and the quality of life better for the people that protect us. So on our last podcast, I said we would talk about hypervigilance. We're going to combine two of the symptoms today. The other one is revenge and vengeance paranoia, which, I talk about paranoia. I'm not talking about like aliens invading here or anything like that, because that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about that you, as a police officer, and this happened to me, this was one of the ones that I had significant trouble with, even if what I was doing was justified, so putting somebody in jail or something, I wondered, there was just always that little worry. It wasn't a big one. I didn't lose sleep over it. I wasn't sitting up all night by the front door with a gun. But some of the calls I would go on, I would think, I wonder, oftentimes people would say, I'm going to find out where you live and kill you. I'm going to find out where your family lives and kill them. I had people say that to me a lot of times. And so those things stick in your brain. You start to worry about it, whether they're going to try to take out their vengeance on you by getting revenge. And what happens is, and that's probably a healthy thing to worry about, because a lot of police officers' homes are targeted. A lot of police officers are targeted at homes. We know that. So that can happen. So you need to have a healthy amount of awareness. But when this starts to seep into your personal life, so we're finding well over 50% of the people, current and past police officers, are scared to post on social media about their physical location. Now, the rest of the world, the rest of the country takes that for granted. We just, hey, we're at Bobby's Bakery eating wings, right? I don't know why a bakery serves wings, but you know what I mean. All right. Oh, we're having burgers down at the pub. Oh, I'm in Thailand eating noodles, right? I mean, people, but cops don't want to do that. Like, oh, they're going to know I'm on vacation. I don't want people to know where I am. I don't want people to, right? So an overwhelming number of people, this plays into you're worried about people seeking revenge against you. Well over 50% of our respondents so far, these are two of the highest ones, are scared to post on social media about personal information. And the rest of us just take that for granted. You know what I mean? So it's okay. And we don't have to fix it, but you start to add up all these symptoms together, and there's a lot of things that cops are spending energy and anxiety worrying about that the rest of us are not, and that may never change. But I want to get help to the cops if these symptoms progress to a point where their quality of life is below where they would like it, which happened to me. Like, I want to get back into doing things and back into society and back into feeling more normal, because some of these things got to me over time. Okay, so wrapping up, thank you so much again for the overwhelming response. Please keep it coming. Even in the last week, we've had just a ton of surveys filled out, a ton of questions on Facebook. Please send me whatever you'd like to. I'd love to hear from you. That's for law enforcement. Now, there's a lot of citizens going, well, what can I do? Well, I mean, just knowing about it. So read about it, okay? Information is knowledge. If you look at any of my podcasts or my past writings, you start to understand the police perspective a little bit. Go do a ride along. The cops are going to kill me for saying this. Go do a ride along at the local. I mean, it's like, oh God, I got to entertain somebody all night. But if you're genuinely interested and you want to learn, like, it's a good thing you could do. You read From Boy to Blue. This goes through what it was like, the training before becoming a cop, the training, what it's like to, this is if you want to know what it's really like to be a police officer, this book that I wrote did that. It explains it. And then take a ride along. And then send me your thoughts if you want to do that. I want to hear from you too if you do that. If you read the book and you go on a ride along, and I want to know, did anything change for you? Did you have some new experience? What happened? I'm open to hearing it all. I really am, because I'm truthfully interested in this. And I think after the response we received, I know I'm onto something here, and the work we're doing is very important. So in honor of the 4th of July, Lee Greenwood will sing us out. But I hope everybody have a safe, happy holiday. Next week we'll talk about more of the symptoms, and we'll see you at stevewarneke.com in the meantime.
Who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause her